Chapter 71, Throwaway Fantasy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early morning. Master. Master. Get up. Lu Changsheng was woken up by a small hand in his daze. He straightened up with difficulty and opened his eyes in pain. Jiaer, didn't you register yesterday? You probably didn't have class today. Lu Changsheng stretched and said a little confused. Today is the weekend and there are no classes. There is a guest outside and you have been asked to receive it. Gu Jia handed the work clothes to Lu Changsheng's hand and explained. Ah. Is the business in Yaoguang City so easy? We have just opened the door, and there is already business coming to the door. Lu Changsheng regained his energy and quickly changed into his work clothes. He put on a professional regretful face and walked steadily towards the hall. Guest, please have your condolences. Which is the most expensive set meal in your store? The speaker was an old man with silver eyebrows and white hair, with a wrinkled face and bright eyes embedded in deep eye sockets. The old man's voice was not loud, but it contained majesty. The aura of a superior person could not be hidden. Guest, you are really discerning. Currently, the most expensive and best set meal in our store is. Lu Changsheng had just picked up the flyer and was about to explain it carefully when he was interrupted by the old man. I want it. The old man didn't even ask the price. No, is business in Yaoguang City so easy? Dog system, how many years have you missed me? Give me another place of birth. I would have taken off so early. Lu Changsheng cursed in his heart, but kept a regretful expression on his face. He wrote the receipt with amazing handwriting and handed over the QR code. I wonder what the name of the guest's relative is. Let me make a note for you. The old man was silent for a while and then slowly spoke. Lu Jiangming. I'm his teacher. Lu Changsheng was startled, and the hand holding the pen hung in the air. My name is Sun Wensheng, the deacon of the prison court under the command of the Demon Slayer Division. Sun Wensheng looked at Lu Changsheng and spoke calmly. I heard about Xiao Lu's affairs. You helped him take care of his funeral. Thanks for your hard work. Lu Changsheng put down the pen and tore off the receipt. Of course, Lao Lu's account has been settled long ago. I can't accept your money. Sun Wensheng still raised his phone and paid for the package. Then write my name. When the time comes, please ask Boss Lu to take the trouble to collect my body. Lu Changsheng frowned slightly, not understanding what kind of medicine this old Sun Tu was selling in the gourd. Deacon Sun, our most expensive package doesn't cost this much. I'll give you 2 urns, which are respectable. Sun Wensheng waved his hand, sat down at the tea table in the hall, and said calmly, Your Majesty personally collected the body for me. No matter how much you charge, it is not exaggerated. Lu Changsheng was shocked. This old man came with bad intentions. Deacon Sun, I think you misunderstood. I am just an ordinary person. The most powerful one is the tutor. Lu Changsheng still had a calm look on his face and calmly poured tea for Sun Wensheng. Don't be nervous, Boss Lu. I have no ill intentions. I came today just to leave a way out for myself. Sun Wensheng raised his teacup and took a sip, then continued, but I still want to remind Boss Lu that this is Yaoguang City, the center of mankind. The little tricks you use to hide your identity can hide it from the people below, but not from the top brass. Since the Demon Slayer Division allows you to open a shop here with such arrogance, it is natural that you are sincere in making friends. As long as you don't do anything that harms the human race, we won't take the initiative to offend a respectable venerable person. Lu Changsheng picked up the teacup and drank it in one gulp, and said calmly, I will definitely tell my master, please don't worry, Deacon Sunday. He, Sun Wensheng, could recognize him, but Lu Changsheng could not. Who knew if old Sun Tu was here to blackmail him and would not let go until he died? Sun Wensheng didn't hesitate, put down his teacup, stood up, waved his hand, and left. His mission has been completed today, and there are still many things waiting for him to deal with. Deacon Sun, I have a question that I would like to ask you. Is it convenient for you to answer it for me? Lu Changsheng stood up and stopped Sun Wencheng and asked sincerely. Please speak. Sun Wencheng sat down again and nodded slightly. What is the purpose of the cultists' attack on Linqing's awakening ceremony? Lu Changsheng asked straight to the point. Boss Lu, please believe me, you don't want to get involved in this matter. Sun Wencheng gently rotated the teacup without looking into Lu Changsheng's eyes. At least, I should know why Lao Lu died, right? Lu Changsheng took the teacup from Sun Wencheng's hand, slowly poured the tea in, and pushed it in front of him again. Sun Wencheng held the teacup and remained silent for a long time. Finally, they are just a bunch of ignorant white mice. When the owner needs them, they will naturally feed them in vain. When they are not needed, of course they will be destroyed. Old Sun too, how come you, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, are also a riddler? Lu Changsheng complained dissatisfiedly and asked again, then who is their master? If Boss Lu really wants to know, it's not impossible, but you have to agree to the old man on one condition. Sun Wencheng stared at Lu Changsheng quietly and spoke quietly. Join me in the main prison, and I will naturally tell you everything. See you in the picture. This old grandson, do you want to use this to manipulate me? Is the prison so short of people? Everyone is included. And just by hearing the name, you can tell that this, prison court, is most likely the disciplinary force of the Demon Slayer Division. They do the hard work that offends people every day, and they want to drag me into trouble, even if you don't rely on you to supervise the main hospital, and rely on Guizhai, the world's #1 intelligence agency. I don't believe it, and still can't find out. Lu Changsheng quickly thought about the pros and cons in his mind, took a sip of tea, and did not continue to refill Sun Wencheng's tea. Deacon Sun, I have already told Lao Lu, and I don't mind telling you again. I'm just doing nothing. I don't know how to kill monsters. Sun Wencheng looked at the empty teacup, stood up knowingly, and left without making any further attempts. If Boss Lu changes his mind, you can come to Jianzhenjuan to find me at any time. The location of Jianzhenjuan is easy to find. After that, he left Changsheng Hall without looking back. Outside the store, there was already an unlicensed black car waiting. Bang! As soon as Sun Wencheng closed the car door, there was a burst of urgent inquiries from the side. Mr. Sun, how are you? Has Lu Changsheng admitted it? Hua Quan looked at Sun Wencheng expectantly, like a curious baby. No, he's very strict. He won't even admit that he is a ghost snake until he kills him. Hua Quan pursed his lips and said with a look of displeasure, it's useless even if he doesn't admit it, I just think he is a ghost snake. Otherwise, why would Guizhai keep preventing us from investigating him, both covertly and overtly? Isn't this the 300 taels of silver that are missing here? Sun Wencheng waved his hand and said seriously, is there any concrete evidence that Lu Changsheng is a demon? Not yet, no. Hua Quan shook his head. That's fine, as long as he's not a monster. Whether it's Lu Changsheng or Ghost Snake, it seems like they are all good friends at the moment. A mature organization will never force a venerable person to become an enemy. Hua Quan, put away your occupational disease. Remember. If you are not deaf or blind, you are not worthy of being in charge. Sun Wencheng's voice was not loud, but it conveyed a majesty that could not be refuted. Hua Quan bowed his hands respectfully, bowed his head and said, I understand. Deacon Sunday. Sun Wencheng stared at Hua Quan coldly, until cold sweat started to flow from the latter's forehead, and then he looked away. How did the thing I asked you to prepare for last time go? Seeing that Sun Wencheng's tone softened, Hua Quan secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said, you can take action at any time, but Mr. Sun. Is it really necessary to do this? After all, you are old. Sun Wencheng looked at the receding scenery outside the window and was silent for a long time. Finally, he set his sights on the direction of the military academy. The demon tide is coming. If we don't remove those cancerous tumors, what can we humans do to resist? I'm old enough to live and make money every day. I can't let the future of the human race take risks, right? Hua Quan. Hua Quan responded respectfully, yes. Throw away your illusions. Prepare to fight. Chapter 72, What the Military Academy Lacks the Least is Genius. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Demon Slaying Military Academy. The 197th freshman gathered at the edge of the playground in a mess. Xiao Xiaowei kept arranging her curly hair, trying to straighten it, but with little success. Xiao Jiang was wearing a bandage, half leaning on his sister, a little weak. The worst was Wang Sheng, who was the most seriously injured in the battle with the Hellhound. If it weren't for the high physical strength of the awakened person of the strengthening system, he might not even be able to stand today. Teacher Li, why did you call us here today? Isn't it the weekend today? Wang Sheng was leaning on a cane, and his voice was no longer as powerful as before, looking weak. There is no weekend in the military academy. Guan Shan and others looked at each other, and saw despair in each other's eyes. Li Yunxian still had his back to the students and posed in a handsome pose. Not far from the crowd, an old student was holding a camera and shooting click and click. After 10 minutes and more than 30 postures, Li Yunxian waved his hand with satisfaction and sent the unlucky student away. Today, I will teach you the first and most important lesson of the military academy. Listen carefully. Everyone was stunned, put away their dissatisfied expressions, and looked at Li Yunxian seriously. In the military academy, the most important thing is military merit. Everything you do, including but not limited to eating, drinking, defecating, urinating, sleeping, standing, lying, sitting, and sleeping, all requires military merit. Once your military merit is 0, it will trigger an alarm. If you do not get new military merit within 24 hours, you will automatically drop out of school. Even the King of Heaven cannot change it. Remember it. Guan Shan took out his newly bought mobile phone with some regret. He spent 1 point of military merit to exchange it. He originally thought it was quite cheap, but now he only felt distressed. Teacher, can I eat the food I brought with me instead of going to the cafeteria? Xiao Xiaowei also bought a mobile phone, and now she just wanted to slap herself twice. Sure. But the military merit will be deducted. Li Yunxian raised his eyebrows and said indifferently. Fuck. Bandits. Xiao Jiang stood up in anger, and ended up pulling his wound again, screaming. For insulting the teacher, Xiao Jiang will be deducted 5 military merits. Li Yunxian looked at Xiao Jiang with a mean look, looking for a fight. You. Xiao Xiaowei quickly covered her brother's mouth to stop him from feeling uncomfortable. Then how should we get military merits? Guan Shan was in the best condition among the group. The recovery ability of the Wrath of Revenge was extremely amazing. In the near-death state, as long as he was not killed or buried by others, most of the time it could not be considered a negative effect. Learn more from the top of the list. Don't lick Zhang Xiong's face every day, it's useless. Li Yunxian chuckled and continued, there are 2 ways to get military merits in the military academy. Achieve merit or kill demons. As for how to do it specifically, you can figure it out yourself. This is not within my teaching scope. Guan Shan frowned slightly, always feeling that Li Yunxian, the teacher, was a bit unreliable. I've finished talking about the precautions. Next, let's officially start the class. As soon as Li Yunxian finished speaking, he took out a crossbow from behind him and pulled the trigger frantically without giving everyone a chance to react. At such a close distance, there was no room to dodge. Li Yunxian was also particularly cunning. He first shot at Guan Shan, Yang Chao, and Liang Yusen, who were in the best condition, and then at the remnants of the defeated soldiers behind. The arrowhead of the crossbow had been smooth, but in such a sudden situation, it still hurt everyone. Congratulations, Class 197 was completely wiped out. Li Yunxian raised the crossbow and said with disdain. His eyes swept across everyone one by one, and he paused for a while before continuing. You are sensible. You didn't say anything unfair or sneak attack to me. Teacher, I understand what you mean. You want us to know that there is no fairness on the battlefield. We must always be prepared to fight. Students have learned their lesson. Yang Chao's words were still so decent, unlike Liang Yusin and Xiao Jiang, who looked unconvinced. "Humph, if you need me to teach you this, you don't deserve to enter the gate of the military academy." Li Yunxuan's tone gradually became cold. "Yang Chao, you like to talk a lot, don't you? Tell me, what is the most important thing for the awakened in the extraordinary stage? Work hard to improve the level, master the various ways to use superpowers, and find a tactical combination that suits you." Yang Chao's answer was flawless, and it was exactly the standard answer in the textbook. "You memorized it very well, but the answer was a mess, all nonsense." Li Yunxian glanced around, wanting to hear if there were any other answers. Everyone fell into deep thought, not knowing how to answer to satisfy Li Yunxian. The one who survives is the protagonist. Guan Shan didn't know why, suddenly remembered the cartoon that night, and the words of the master, and blurted out subconsciously. Li Yunxuan's mouth slowly curled up, nodded with satisfaction, and smiled. "Guan Shan's military merit +5, you all learn well, the first place in this awareness. Can it be like this?" Everyone looked at Li Yunxian in bewilderment, and then looked at Guan Shan with envy, not knowing what the two were talking about. Li Yunxian coughed lightly and suddenly said, "Everyone, watch it. This is the pressure of the third level." Li Yunxuan's aura gradually increased, and soon reached the peak level of the third level. The overwhelming pressure made everyone feel a little depressed, and their limbs gradually stiffened, but they were not unbearable. Level 4. As Li Yunxian finished speaking, his aura rose again, reaching the peak of level 4. Now everyone was a little overwhelmed. Wang Sheng and Xiao Jiang, who were already injured, were the first to fall to the ground, using their hands to support their bodies to prevent themselves from being too embarrassed. Guan Shan, who was in the best condition, could only forcibly use his supernatural powers to resist, and did not dare to relax at all. As time went on, everyone felt their throats choked and their muscles began to ache, not to mention resistance. Even normal breathing was a luxury, although they were both at the peak of level 4, the pressure released by Li Yunxian was a world apart from that of the Hellhound. The Awakener is only slightly stronger than an ordinary person at the super stage. If I have to make a metaphor, it's like a primary school student holding a submachine gun. He can easily massacre his classmates, but he can also be stabbed to death by a small fruit knife. And the Walker is completely different. Even the lowest level 4th level Walker can release an energy shield. Ordinary attacks can't even break through the defense. You little brats can never beat it. Don't think that you can really fight against the Walker after defeating Xiao He. Xiao He fought with you with a mission from the beginning. Even so, you were almost killed. It exploded and took away. If it really lets loose, none of you will survive. Even if you are a Walker who has just been promoted to the 4th level, you will only have one way to go in a one-on-one situation. I know what you are thinking. The peak of the 2nd level at the age of 16, the 3rd level at the age of 16, is already very powerful. You are geniuses, the top of each province, and the focus of everyone's attention. But I want to tell you, forget those, the so-called genius is just a stepping stone to see me. What the military academy lacks the least is genius. Li Yunxian dispersed his supernatural power and looked at everyone with cold eyes. Guan Shan and others all fell to the ground, panting violently, and their faces flushed, not knowing whether they were holding back or embarrassed. In the extraordinary stage, you only have to learn one thing. Li Yunxian put away the crossbow, raised his right hand, and spoke lightly. Just survive. After the voice fell, Li Yunxian swung forward with one hand, a rain of arrows flew out from behind him, heading straight for the people in class 197. In Guan Shan's pupils, the sharp crossbow arrows were getting clearer and clearer from far to near. The cold light was so sharp that it blocked out the sky and the sun. Chapter 73. This is not a human. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guan Shan was in the best condition among everyone. He decisively activated Wrath of Revenge, and flashed in front of Wang Sheng and Xiao Jiang. He clasped his hands together and activated all his powers. A wall of ice rose from the ground and stood in front of the two of them. The moment the ice wall had just formed, arrows rained down, and the sound of clanging could be heard endlessly. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. Xiao Xiaohui protected her brother with all her strength, and kept waving the red tassel spear to knock away the arrows that were not blocked by the ice wall. Yang Chao's falcon puppet spread its wings to protect its master, allowing the arrows to attack without moving at all. The worst one was Liang Yusen. She was the farthest away from Wang Sheng and the others. She stumbled along the way and was almost hit by arrows several times. She finally managed to hide behind the ice wall, but the second wave of arrows came again. Xiao Jiang, don't be stunned, help. Wang Sheng was anxious. Even if he was in perfect condition, the enhanced awakener couldn't do much in this situation and could only act as a temporary commander. Xiao Jiang was awakened by the roar and hurriedly knelt down, raising 4 earth walls around him to block all the incoming arrows. The rain of arrows in the sky continued for 3 rounds before stopping. Li Yunxian waved his hand and scattered all the earth and ice walls. He said with an unhappy look, "You think everything will be fine just by making a turtle shell like this? Do you think you are not conspicuous enough on the battlefield? Are you afraid that you won't die quickly enough? Everyone, get out of here and put away the arrows on the ground. Starting tomorrow, there will be 9 rounds of arrow rain every day. There is no advance warning and no preparation time. It is forbidden to get together. Everyone depends on their ability. Live if you can, if you can't live, pull me down. Did you hear that clearly? You." Xiao Jiang was slapped shut by his sister before he could curse him. Xiao Xiaohui whispered, "Military merit, think about military merit." Li Yunxian stared at everyone fiercely and shouted with a look of hatred, "Why are you looking at me? Go to work." Li Yunxian waved his hand and drove everyone away, leaving only Guan Shan. He looked around Guan Shan's body and said calmly, "Have you broken through the 3rd level?" "Well, I was about to break through. I was promoted during the welcome ceremony." Guan Shan nodded honestly. "Don't be complacent. In my opinion, there is no difference between the 3rd level and the 1st level. Among the freshmen who enroll every year, there are quite a few 3rd level students. It's not that easy to break through from the 3rd level to the 4th level. If you have any questions, you can ask me at any time." After Li Yunxian finished speaking, he glanced around to confirm that no one was there, then lowered his voice and said sternly, "Is the duration of your skill about to expire?" "Well, there are still about 2 minutes." Guan Shan had no intention of concealing the characteristics of revenge. After all, he had to spend the next few years together, and he still had to avoid being buried alive by his teammates. Li Yunxian rubbed his hands in embarrassment and said awkwardly, "Can you teach this trick to the teacher?" "Of course, I have absolutely no selfish motives. I just feel that if this kind of skill can be popularized, why worry about the immortality of the demon clan? The teacher is completely thinking about my human race." "Okay." Guan Shan readily agreed, leaving Li Yunxuan's prepared long speech useless, and he stayed in place. "Teacher, please remember the operation formula of the skill." Li Yunxian fumbled around in a hurry, "Damn it, I didn't bring pen and paper." "No, it's very simple. Teacher, you will know it after listening to it once." Lu Changsheng once told Guan Shan that if others wanted to learn Changsheng skills, just teach them without any need to hide them. Only then did he start teaching openly. Li Yunxian looked at Guan Shan with burning eyes, not daring to miss a word. Pleasant goat, beautiful goat, lazy goat, boiling goat. Slow sheep, soft sheep, red wolf and gray wolf. Don't look at me as just a sheep. The green grass becomes more fragrant because of me. Guan Shanzai sang the skill formula carefully, and at the end he did not forget to add, "Teacher, if you sing along again, you will be good at it. This is how I learned it." After saying that, he fell to the ground and died. Li Yunxian, isn't this a fucking children's song? How can any serious master teach his disciples like this? Be sick. Sneeze. Lu Changsheng wiped his nose gently with the back of his hand and felt a little strange. With his current physique, it was impossible for him to catch a cold even if he went naked swimming in the ice lake in the winter. Master, are you feeling uncomfortable? Gu Jia looked at Master with some concern. It's okay, Jar, let's see if there's anything you like. Master will buy it for you. His eldest apprentice has been having nightmares these days. In order to relieve her mood, Lu Changsheng took Gu Jia to the black market in Yaoguang City. Unlike Lincheng, the black market in Yaoguang City is located in a busy shopping mall. The first and second underground floors are parking lots, but the third underground floor has its own secrets. In a space of several thousand square meters, there is a small room with clear partitions, with incandescent lights hanging overhead, and carts and vendors coming and going everywhere. Even in the daytime, there are huge crowds of people here, and there are all kinds of things for sale, such as devil fruits, the sword of Emperor Huang Tian, the mysterious ring of the old man, and the cultivation techniques of immortality. Those who didn't know thought they had wandered into the world of cultivating immortals. Most of the things here are not in Lu Changsheng's eyes, but it can open his eyes and change his mood. After all, with Gu Jia's current strength, ordinary strengthening awakeners may not be able to fight. It's not bad to understand the true face of this world in advance. The master and the apprentice walked casually, sometimes buying some delicious food, sometimes watching those exaggerated hawking performances, and they were happy and relaxed. Gu Jia suddenly stopped in front of a shop and gently pulled Lu Changsheng's sleeve. Lu Changsheng paused and looked in the direction of Gu Jia's sight. The goods in this shop are different from those in all other shops. In the 6 metal cages, there was only one teenager, about 15 or 16 years old, with a thick iron chain tied around his neck and bruises all over his body. Lu Changsheng's eyes suddenly turned cold. Boss! What are you selling? Hearing the voice, a greasy fat man slowly walked over from the shop next to him, fanning himself with a palm leaf fan and forcing out a warm smile. Customer! You have a really good eye. There is only one treasure left in our shop. If you come a little later, it will be bought by someone else. 1. Lu Changsheng stared at the shop owner and said word by word, say it again, what is this? That the cold murderous intent almost turned into reality. The shop owner shivered uncontrollably and quickly explained, Customer. Customer, did you misunderstand? I'm not selling people. This is a monster. The boy in the cage had a dark look in his eyes, and only trembled slightly when he heard the word monster. Soon, there was no more movement. Chapter 74. This shop owner is too amateur. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Monster Clan. Lu Changsheng moved his eyes to the young man in the cage. He really couldn't see any difference between this young man and a human being. Yes, guest. This is just a sea monster captured from the front line. As long as the owner is recognized, even the Demon Slayer division will recognize his identity. Guests can rest assured. The shopkeeper wiped the sweat from his forehead. Lu Changsheng looked really scary just now. Siren. Lu Changsheng is no longer a novice who knows nothing. He pays attention to the Guizhai app almost every day, and naturally has a lot of knowledge about the world of awakeners. Aren't all sirens female? Why does he? The shopkeeper leaned against the cage, rubbed his hands, and said flatteringly, Guest, you don't know something. Although most of the sirens are female, there are also a few male sirens, and they are stronger than the female sirens. More. And just like the female siren, she will only recognize one master in her life, and she will never betray her until death. This is the last treasure of our store. If you miss it, you don't know when you will see it again. Pull it down. Only one of your 6 cages is left. It wasn't left over by someone else. It's still a treasure. Lu Changsheng waved his hand indifferently. What's the use of recognizing the master? The system didn't say anything and he couldn't accept this young man as his disciple. It was of no great use. When Lu Changsheng was about to take Gu Jia away, he found the young man in the cage looking at him for help. That look in his eyes made Lu Changsheng feel so familiar. For some reason, he thought of the girl who died alone in front of her parents' grave, the same eyes, the same despair, the same helplessness. Gu Jia subconsciously grasped her master's hand, and she felt a severe blockage in her heart. But I can't understand what that emotion means. Sir. I'm not a demon, I'm a human. Please save me. The boy suddenly shouted loudly, his body stiffened suddenly, as if he was suffering tremendous pain, his whole body was shaking uncontrollably, and bursts of blood oozed from the corners of his mouth. A huge electric current was transmitted along the chain to the young man's body, and within a moment, bursts of green smoke appeared. Soon, the young man knelt on the ground motionless and stopped making a sound. What does this mean? Lu Changsheng's expression suddenly changed. He drew the 10,000 god sword with one hand and pointed it at the shop owner. If he said a wrong word, he would be beheaded on the spot. The shop owner was so frightened that he took a few steps back, waved his hands and begged for mercy. Guest, don't believe his nonsense, he is a monster. The siren is the best at lying. Don't let him fool you. Seeing that Lu Changsheng's eyes were still cold, the fat shopkeeper became anxious and pointed at the cage and said, Guest, look at it, how can a normal human being survive after being exposed to high-voltage electricity? Only the monster clan's powerful body can withstand it. Lu Changsheng glanced towards the cage. Although the boy's breath was weak, he was indeed not dead yet. Lu Changsheng's expression was uncertain, as if he was struggling with something. There was silence for a long time. He dismissed the 10,000 god sword, stared at the shop owner, and said coldly, How much does it cost? Ah. The shop owner was a little confused and didn't react for a moment. I said, How much does this child cost? 100 fourth order crystal nuclei. The shopkeeper stuttered, or, the equivalent 5th order crystal nuclei, 6th order crystal nuclei, all are accepted. How much did you say? Lu Changsheng approached the shop owner step by step, staring at him with unkind eyes. The shop owner swallowed, and cold sweat slid down his forehead. He felt like he was being stared at by a ferocious beast, and his heart was beating fast. 50 pieces, guest, this price is very reasonable. You've been so electrified, how can you still call it real? Lu Changsheng tilted his head and stared at the shopkeeper, and said word by word, with 10 crystal cores, I will give you 2 more high-end packages from Changsheng. Changsheng is a century-old store. If you don't have connections, you won't be able to buy it. How about it? No, how can you bargain like this? The shop owner was confused. He had never heard of this century-old store. Changsheng. What is it? A luxury store. Lu Changsheng calmly drew out the 10,000 god sword, rubbed it on his sleeve, and lightly licked his lips with the tip of his tongue, as if he would kill anyone if he disagreed with him. Gu Jia also cooperated and put on a fierce expression on the side, with her little nose turned up and her teeth bared. The shop owner's hair stood on end, and his scalp felt numb. The look in Lu Changsheng's eyes was really terrifying, and the sea monster in the cage was indeed only half lived. Although the shop owner was in pain, he still had to agree. Here, and here. Well, I still have this, just sign it here. Lu Changsheng signed one document after another under the command of the fat shopkeeper. Most of them are the identity information of the Demon Slayer Division, as well as bloodline certificates. That's it. Lu Changsheng finished signing the last document, clapped his hands, and walked to the iron cage on his own. Guest. Wait, you haven't recognized your master yet. According to the rules of the Demon Slayer Division, a sea monster that has not recognized its master cannot come out of the iron cage. Hurry up, that kid is almost out of breath, and you won't even be able to sell 10 crystal cores in a while. Lu Changsheng urged unhappily. Customer, please give me some blood. The siren needs to drink the blood of the master voluntarily to recognize the master. It's very simple. The fat shopkeeper took out a small box from behind the counter and motioned Lu Changsheng to come to the counter. Lu Changsheng rolled up his sleeves, took out the cuff from his pocket, and tied it to his arm skillfully, holding one end in his mouth and wrapping the other end with his hand, wrapping, nodding, holding it in his mouth and lifting it up. The whole set of movements was done in one go, without any delay. The fat shopkeeper looked at Lu Changsheng's outstretched arm and was stunned. No, what does this customer do? Why is he so skilled? Don't stand there, draw it. Lu Changsheng frowned slightly. This shopkeeper is too amateur. Oh. Oh, customer, you misunderstood. It doesn't take so much. Just a few drops will do. The fat shopkeeper hurriedly took out the tools from the box. He gently poked Lu Changsheng's finger and took out a few drops of blood. The boy's breathing was very weak, and he could only see the appearance of his master with the corner of his eyes. He took the blood handed by the shopkeeper tremblingly. The boy put it in his mouth without any hesitation, bit the test paper containing blood, and swallowed it in one gulp. A will descended from the sky and descended into the boy's mind. He could not resist it at all, and his cognition was modified in an instant. The person outside the cage was no longer a strange man, but his sky. There was nothing more important than the master in this world. The fat shopkeeper took out the tools and did the same on the boy's hand, taking out a few drops of blood. Seeing the bright red blood on the test paper, the fat shopkeeper opened the iron cage with confidence, untied the iron chain on the boy's neck, and made a pleased gesture to Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng was not in a hurry to bring the boy out, but turned around and whispered to Gujia, "Jar, take this child back to Changsheng Hall first, and ask Sister Hongye to come over and take a look and treat his injuries. Master will be back a little later." Gujia nodded gently, followed the master to help the boy out of the iron cage and left the black market. The fat shop owner saw that the scary customer finally walked away and breathed a long sigh of relief. Although the price of this one was very low, at least this batch of sea monsters was sold out. He said he would have a good meal tonight to reward himself. While thinking about it, the shop owner was not idle. He quickly closed the door of the shop and walked slowly towards the door of the black market. In the entire black market, no one noticed that a figure was moving slowly with the fat shop owner, like a ghost. Chapter 75. It's okay, take your time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was already evening when Lu Changsheng returned home. In the living room, Hongye and Gu Jia were chatting quietly. The mermaid boy stood aside, looking around Changsheng Hall with some trepidation, looking restless. "Hongye, thank you for your hard work." Lu Changsheng smiled and waved to Hongye, turned his head and looked at the boy, and asked, "Child, do you feel better?" The boy wanted to say something, but when the words came to his lips, they turned into, "Master, I'm fine." Lu Changsheng frowned slightly, sat down, grabbed the teapot and poured himself a cup of hot tea, raised his chin towards the boy, and said, "Why are you standing there? Sit down." When the boy heard Lu Changsheng's words, it was like a robot receiving an order, and his body sat down stiffly, extremely unnatural. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. Is this the sea monster? This is the first time I've seen one. We just asked him to sit down, but he refused to do so after a long time. He did as the master said. He's really obedient. Hongye looked at the boy in surprise and smiled. Is he okay? Lu Changsheng poured Hongye a cup of hot tea and asked. Nothing serious. I asked a colleague who is good at treatment to see him. He's just a little weak. He will recover after a few days of rest. The vitality of the monster race is much stronger than that of the human race. Hongye took a sip of the tea and said. That's good. Lu Changsheng turned his head and looked at the boy, saying lightly, I bought you, but I didn't intend to make you my servant. We Changsheng Hall don't do that. Since you follow me, you will be my third apprentice in the future. You don't have to call me master. I can't stand it. You will call me master in the future like Jar. Gu Jia's eyes lit up, and she looked at the boy more gently. Congratulations, kid. It's not easy to be Mr. Lu's apprentice, Hongye said enviously. Master, master, master. The boy tried, but he couldn't say the word master at all. It was as if those two words would trigger a punishment from heaven. The will deep in his heart suppressed his original intention. The boy lowered his head sadly. He wanted to cry a little, but even his tears were out of his control. Without the permission of the master, he couldn't even cry. It's okay, change slowly. Jia also learned to speak for a long time before. Lu Changsheng poured a cup of hot tea for the boy and said softly. Gu Jia also patted the boy's shoulder encouragingly and smiled sweetly. The boy's throat was a little choked. He had always been put in an iron cage, displayed everywhere like a livestock, and allowed others to choose. It's been a long time, no one treated him as a human being. Lu Changsheng secretly glanced at the system interface in his mind. The dog system was silent. It seemed that it had not yet recognized the identity of the new apprentice. Lu Changsheng was a little helpless, but he could only accept the reality. He would talk about it when the dog system detected that he could accept an apprentice. Lu Changsheng retracted his thoughts and slowly said, during the daytime in the black market. You said you were a human? That when asking the question, Lu Changsheng glanced at Hongye calmly, and the latter shook his head slightly. The boy opened his mouth several times, but couldn't speak. He took a deep breath, adjusted his emotions, and then slowly said, I am a human, used to be. Used to be. Lu Changsheng's hand holding the teacup froze. He had a bad idea. This scene always feels familiar. My name is Niu Jiashuan. I am from Niujia village. Niu Jiashuan's voice was intermittent, and his body was trembling a little, as if he was trying to overcome his inner fear. Niujia village. Lu Changsheng and Hongye looked at each other, and saw shock in each other's eyes. Only Gu Jia stared at the master in confusion. The Niujia village you are talking about, is it the Niujia village in Linqing? Hongye was a little excited. Niu Jiashuan did not answer, but just looked at Lu Changsheng in fear, waiting for the master to ask. Are you from Niujia village in Linqing? Lu Changsheng repeated Hongye's words. His tone was terribly cold. Well. Master, do you know Niujia village? Niu Jiashuan's eyes flashed with a light, and his tone was much smoother. About a week ago, a lot of people suddenly came to the village. All of them were awakened. They said that there were demons in the village, and they wanted us to get on their cars and take refuge. I didn't want to go, but they forced me to get on the car, so I had to do it. After I got on the car, I fell asleep quickly. When I woke up, I was already locked in an iron cage. They all said, I am a demon. Niu Jiashuan said, and his emotions gradually became agitated. I am not, I told them, I am a human, I am a human. But they just don't believe me. A week ago, that's what happened after Hongye and I got rid of Qiu Shaili. We just left, and something happened in Niujia village. Lu Changsheng calculated the time in his heart, and his eyes became colder and colder. He tried his best to control his emotions and soften his tone. Do you know Sanyuzi? Niu Jiashuan nodded. Of course I know brother Sanyu, and sister Erniu. We were taken away together at that time. Lu Changsheng's heart sank. He deliberately didn't mention Erniu, but Niu Jiashuan could blurt it out. It seems that he might really be from Niujia village. Master, what I said is true. There are still many people in the village who have been captured. They may not have turned into monsters yet. Niu Jiashuan's voice became lower and lower. He already knew that he was a monster now. That voice that was far higher than his will reminded him all the time, there is no way back. Niu Jiashuan can no longer turn back into a human, but he still holds a glimmer of luck. Maybe other people in the village have not been turned into monsters. Maybe they can still be saved. The living room suddenly fell silent, after a long time. Lu Changsheng pointed to one of the rooms in the store and said, you will live in that room from now on. If you have any problems in life, ask Jar. The rest will be left to master. Niu Jiashuan looked at Lu Changsheng with a choked voice. He wanted to say thank you, master, but when the words came to his lips, they became, master, thank you. He lowered his head sadly, not daring to face his master. Lu Changsheng looked deeply at his third apprentice and said softly, it's okay, take your time. Hongye, what do you think of this? Lu Changsheng looked at Niu Jiashuan's room and asked. It's a big problem. Hongye held her chin with one hand, recalling and saying, if what Niu Jiashuan said is true, this matter must have been involved by the people of the Demon Slayer division. The stamps on the materials you showed me are all true. And if there is no one to back them up, no one would dare to be so bold as to kidnap all the people in the village and turn them into demons to sell. Forcing a good woman into prostitution is already a serious crime, forcing a person to become a demon. These people are really crazy. Lu Changsheng nodded and said slowly, it's useless for us to guess blindly. Just ask the real owner and we should know what's going on. Hongye looked at Lu Changsheng in confusion. Lu Changsheng smiled coldly and took Hongye to the backyard of Changsheng Hall. At the beginning, Lu Changsheng chose this store. In addition to greed for its size, there was another very important reason, that is, there is a small yard here, and when he is free, he can grow vegetables and raise small animals. Unfortunately, the Changsheng Hall farm has not opened yet, but it has planted something else first. In the dark yard, a figure was struggling hard. Seeing Lu Changsheng coming, he opened his eyes wide in fear, with a pleading look on his face. His body was half buried in the soil. His fat body was exhausted after struggling for most of the night. His clothes were soaked with cold sweat and stuck tightly to his body. A gust of night wind blew over, and he couldn't stop shivering. Boss, you should have calmed down. Lu Changsheng grinned, slowly walked to the side of the shop owner, and spoke softly. Let's chat. Chapter 76 Interrogation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The fat shopkeeper's mouth was sealed with tape, and his body was tied up again and again, so he could only whimper. He turned his eyes to Hongye for help, hoping that the latter could save him. Hongye crossed her arms in front of her chest, with no intention of saving him at all. She just looked at Lu Changsheng curiously, and she didn't even notice when there was an extra person in the backyard. Google search TWKN. This boss Lu's ability is really unpredictable. Lu Changsheng slowly walked behind the fat shopkeeper, took out a pair of scissors from his arms, and cut off the fat shopkeeper's hair one by one, until the fat shopkeeper's head became bald. Lu Changsheng slowly spoke. Do you know? If you want to peel off a person's skin completely, how do you do it? That the fat shopkeeper's heart was pounding, and he was trembling with fear. He could only shake his head desperately. His round face, which looked very blessed, was so pale under the moonlight at this moment. Lu Changsheng pressed the scissors against the fat boss's head, as if he had cast a spell to freeze him. The fat boss froze all of a sudden, and didn't even dare to breathe too hard. Just cut here. Lu Changsheng slid the scissors gently. The fat shop owner couldn't see Lu Changsheng's movements, but the cold touch was very clear. He felt that his heart was about to stop beating, and there was nothing left in his mind except fear. Pour some more mercury in. Soon, you will feel itchy. First it's the head, then the body, and then the limbs. You are buried in the soil again, so what are you going to do? There is only one place where you can break out of the soil. Puff. Wait until you crawl out of the pit. A perfect human skin is peeled off. The fat shop owner was already scared to death, but fortunately he was half buried, at least no one saw him. Those filthy things flowed down his trouser legs and went deep into the soil. It made his thighs cold. Lu Changsheng rubbed the scissors in his hand back and forth on the fat shopkeeper's head, and said coldly, "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" That the fat shopkeeper shook his head frantically, looking at Hongye begging, blinking desperately, hoping that someone could help him, at least let him speak. Boss Lu, I think he has something to say to you. Hongye knew what Lu Changsheng was thinking. In interrogation, there is always one person who plays the bad cop and one who plays the good cop. Lu Changsheng walked slowly and came to the fat shop owner. He pulled off the tape on his mouth with a tear and said with cold eyes, "If you don't like skinning, I also know a thing or two about other games." No. Customer, boss, father, grandpa. You caught me without asking anything. I don't know what's going on. How can I answer your questions? What do you need me to do for you? Just tell me. If you have anything to ask, just ask. That the fat boss felt very aggrieved. He was tied up and buried in the soil as soon as he was caught in Changsheng Hall. No one paid attention to him for a long time. Finally, the killing god came and wanted to skin and pull out the tendons. Who can bear this? Didn't I ask? Lu Changsheng looked at Hongye knowingly and blinked at the latter. It seems that I didn't ask. Otherwise. Boss Lu, ask before skinning. What if what he said is useful? Hongye cooperated tacitly. Lu Changsheng put away the scissors, deliberately showing a reluctant expression, and said casually, "Tell me, where did your batch of sea monsters come from?" The fat shop owner saw that the madman had calmed down, and he felt as if he had been pardoned. He took a deep breath and spoke quickly. "Master, I am doing legal business, there is absolutely no problem, and I am different from those big smugglers. All the sea monsters under my control, except the one I sold to you, were bought at the auction in Sun City one by one, and each one was bought through formal channels. Whether it is proof of bloodline, proof of origin, or sales license from the Demon Slayer Bureau, all can be checked. Except for my one." Lu Changsheng took out the scissors again and gestured on his hand, "Tell me more." "The one I sold to you was not bought at the auction." There was a trace of fear in the fat shopkeeper's voice, but he still mustered up the courage and continued, "That one, is. Lu Changsheng held the fat shopkeeper's head with one hand and stabbed with the knife. He controlled the force very well, just enough to pierce the scalp, but did not pierce the skull. "No. I said. I bought it from the Tian sect. Master, I was wrong, I was really wrong. Lu Changsheng controlled the scissors and gently cut through, leaving a shallow scar. He came to the fat shop owner and squatted down, looking directly into his eyes, and said word by word, "How did you buy it? How did you get the full set of procedures?" Blood flowed down the fat shop owner's forehead. He couldn't see his wound clearly, and didn't know whether it was serious or not. The fear in his heart was magnified to the extreme, and he almost begged. "The people of the Tian sect come to the Yaoguang City black market every week. They can always get all kinds of monsters, most of which are taken away by crystal core merchants. Occasionally, there will be rare items like sea monsters, and the price they sell is much cheaper than through regular channels, so. I was also obsessed with money. Lord, I was really wrong." Lu Changsheng swung his knife again, put it against the fat shopkeeper's neck, and said in a very impatient tone, "The cult still dares to come to Yaoguang City to do business now? You are kidding with your own life." As he spoke, the scissors were slowly pushed in, causing the skin to be cut and blood to flow. "Master. Give me one more chance, please. I haven't finished speaking yet. Please." The fat shopkeeper begged desperately, with snot and tears streaming down his face. The scissors stopped moving, and Lu Changsheng raised his chin twice. The fat shop owner said quickly, "I know they are not members of a cult, they just use the cult as a cover, but in our industry, it is a basic unspoken rule to see through but not tell. That group of people are from Sun City. Because they have some connections with the quartermaster, they always sneak out military supplies and sell them. They also handled the formalities. Besides, I didn't accuse them wrongly when I said they were a cult. Before the Biotian sect was liquidated, they were indeed very close to the cult. Sun City. Second line of defense." Lu Changsheng turned around in shock and cast a questioning look at Hongya. "Sun City is the largest logistics base of the human race. All the materials on the front line are prepared and transported by Sun City." Hongya said solemnly, "If those people are really related to Sun City, this is not a good thing. Done. People from Sun City are famous for protecting their shortcomings." Lu Changsheng stood up thoughtfully. After being silent for a long time, he suddenly said, "Where can I find this group of people?" "Sir, this group of people cannot be offended. There are big figures behind them all. If you offend them, we will all die." The fat shopkeeper shook his head like a rattle and couldn't care less about his wound. "Who said it was me who went there?" Lu Changsheng's eyes were full of murderous intent, and the red and black mask in his body seemed to sense the owner's emotions, trembling with excitement, more and more ferocious. Chapter 77. Did you arrange this? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early morning, Changsheng Nyo Joshuan kept stuffing food into his mouth, swallowing it directly without making any chewing movements. Lu Changsheng looked at the empty bowls piled high in front of him and couldn't help but feel a little guilty. If he hadn't sold several crystal cores, he wouldn't have been able to afford this foodie. "I said, Urguzi, eat slowly, or you may choke." Niu Joshuan was stunned for a moment, not quite sure whether the master was calling him. Don't be stunned. Everyone in our Changsheng Hall has a nickname. If you mix with me in the future, I will naturally give you a nickname. You also have a senior brother who is in school. His name is Go Shengzi. This is your senior sister. Remember. All right. Lu Changsheng pointed at Gu Jia and said. My name is Guzi, my senior brother's name is Go Shengzi, does that senior sister's name be Big Dog? Niu Joshuan said, following the association in his mind. Call Gu Jia. Lu Changsheng said as he stuffed the fried dough sticks into his mouth. Niu Joshuan was startled. I always feel like something is not quite right, but I can't explain why. If you can't figure it out, then forget about it. Niu Joshuan pushed the empty bowl in front of him away and walked to the kitchen again. After a while, he returned to the dining table with his head hanging down, looking like he wasn't full. Gu Jia took out a paper towel, wiped the oil stains from the corners of his mouth, and said, Guzi, aren't you full? I'll make some more for you. Thank you, senior sister. Niu Joshuan was not polite, showing a naive expression. Hongye looked at Lu Changsheng's aching expression, covered his mouth and smiled. Guzi, were you able to eat like this before, or did you become able to eat like this after you became a demon? Niu Joshuan recalled carefully and said, I have always been good at eating. Before my parents left, I promised them that no matter where I go, I must eat well and never waste food. Hongye realized that she had said the wrong thing and said carefully, Guzi, I'm sorry, are your parents not here? Oh, that's not the case. My parents divorced, and they formed families again and left Nyojia village. I don't want to leave, so I'll stay in Nyojia village. Hongye was startled, and his original apology turned into a hint of sullenness. They don't care about you anymore. How can you be such a parent? Don't you hate them? I don't hate it, I'm very happy. Niu Joshuan's answer stunned both Lu Changsheng and Hongye. They quarrel every day when they are together, so they might as well separate. Anyway, they will give me living expenses, and I will be happy and free. And, if they are still in Nyojia village, they will definitely be arrested together. It doesn't matter if they are gone, at least they can live a decent life as one person. Niu Joshuan's voice was a little low, a flash of softness flashed in Hongye's eyes. Actually, there is nothing wrong with being a demon. The physique of the demon clan is much stronger than that of humans. If you follow Boss Lu, you won't be abused by others. It's good. Hongye comforted her softly. Apart from eating a little too much, there's really nothing wrong with it. Lu Changsheng muttered quietly, his hand holding the bowl was hanging in the air. The entire table was full of empty bowls, and it was impossible to put them down. Guzi was stunned and fell silent. Yes, it's good enough to survive, isn't it? As long as you obey me, there's nothing wrong with it, nothing bad. Speaking of which, Boss Lu, how are you going to handle this matter? Hongye looked at Lu Changsheng, his eyes full of worry. The people in Nyojia village are in the hands of those people from Sun City. Naturally, they have to go find them and get them back. Lu Changsheng's voice was as calm as water. I know you can do it, Boss Lu, but... Hongye hesitated. There was silence for a while. Hongye still mustered up the courage to say, if all the people in Nyojia village become monsters, can you, Boss Lu, bring them all back? There are many types of monsters, but the Monster Slayer division only recognizes one type, the sea monster. Niu Joshuan took the food from Gu Jia, but did not pour it into his mouth. His body trembled slightly and he looked at the master uneasily. Don't worry, I've already considered this. Lu Changsheng clapped his hands and stood up. Jar, don't clean up after you finish eating later. Let Guzi come. You still have to go to school, so don't be late. Guzi, that guy in the backyard, just feed him one meal a day. He's so fat, help him lose weight. Don't let him escape before I come back. Gu Jia and Guzi nodded at the same time. After explaining these things, Lu Changsheng changed into a black suit, nodded to Hongye, and left Changsheng Hall. Outside Changsheng Hall, an unlicensed black car has been waiting for a long time. Bang. Boss Lu, I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon. As soon as Lu Changsheng got in the car, Sun Wenqing's sassy voice came over. Lu Changsheng fastened his seatbelt obediently, and then said, "How much do you know about those people in Sun City?" Sun Wenqing smiled slightly and handed a document to Lu Changsheng. "Boss Lu, based on the information you provided yesterday, we have found the location of the villagers in Nyojia village. We can leave at any time." Lu Changsheng did not look through the documents. As Guizhai's agent, it was very easy to check this information. Lu Changsheng stared directly into Sun Wenqing's eyes and said quietly, "You can't even see this group of people smuggling and selling monsters in Yaoguang City like this? They directly sent people into the village, kidnapped all the people in the village, and turned them into monsters. You didn't know that? Is this how the Demon Slayer Division protects the human race?" Sun Wenqing put away his smile and his expression gradually became serious. "Boss Lu, the Demon Slayer Division is very big. Everyone who joins the Demon Slayer Division initially holds the ideal of saving the human race. I can guarantee you this. But everyone's method is different. When suppressed by the Demon Clan for a long time, those extreme voices will slowly emerge. At first, it was just an idea, and slowly, it turned into action. Over time, some people have become insensitive and regard human life as nothing. As long as the Demon Clan can be eliminated, they don't mind the life and death of ordinary people at all. That's why there is a prison." Lu Changsheng stared at Sun Wenqing thoughtfully and said expressionlessly, "What's the use of saying nice things? If I hadn't found you, wouldn't this matter have ceased to exist?" Sun Wenqing lay back, letting his back sink into the comfortable leather backrest, and said meaningfully, "Boss Lu, don't you find it strange that Yaoguang City is so big? Why did you meet Niu Jiashuan? The siren is loyal, never betrays, and protects his master even at the risk of his own life. In the market, it is a very, very hot commodity. Did you arrange it?" Lu Changsheng frowned slightly and stared at Old Sun's head with more and more vigilance. "Is this Old Sun too testing me?" Chapter 78 Co-Driver. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The unlicensed black car drove smoothly on the road. "So, all this is your arrangement?" Lu Changsheng didn't like the feeling of being on a pirate ship, and felt dissatisfied. "Yes." Sun Wenqing admitted openly, "The Jianzhenjuan supervises all departments, and the Shadow Moon Pavilion is directly under our command. Boss Lu, please believe me, I know you better than you think. The Demon Slayer Division will not allow a venerable person whose position is unknown to stay in Yaoguang City. Of course, I'm talking about your master, not you, Boss Lu." Sun Wenqing deliberately added an accent to the word master without breaking the layer of window paper. "Then what would you have done if I hadn't come to you, or if I hadn't bought Niu Jiashuan?" Lu Changsheng looked out the window and spoke casually, "Search TWKAN on Google. Today I will still sit in this car to kill all those moths, but..." Sun Wenqing paused, thought about his words and said, "Ghost Snake is no longer our friend, but what we focus on preventing." "Bullshit, I went to the black market on a whim that day. If I hadn't gone to the black market, my master would have been scapegoated for no reason." Lu Changsheng said, pretending to be relaxed. "In that case, someone will happen to pass by the Changsheng Hall and accidentally reveal the news that there seems to be a siren from Nyojia village in the Yaoguang black market." A sly smile appeared on Sun Wenqing's wrinkled face. "Old fox." Lu Changsheng cursed in his heart, glared at him, and looked out the window. "Little fox." Sun Wenqing muttered silently in his heart, keeping a smile, and ended the conversation. The unlicensed car stopped in front of a suburban factory. Sun Wenqing threw an ID to Lu Changsheng, took out another one, pinned it on his chest, and said lightly, "If anyone asks, just say you are my deputy. The IDs are all genuine. The Demon Slayer Division is on the books of Deacon of Jianzhenjuan. Lu Changsheng looked at the certificate and frowned dissatisfied. "No, Old Sun too, is your prison so short of people? Is there anyone who buys or sells by force? Do you want to ask me before making a decision?" "Boss Lu, don't underestimate the prison. As the disciplinary department under the Demon Slayer Division, it has great power. All departments and even the military are subject to our supervision and management. And I am the only one who knows your identity so far. As long as you don't tell me, no one will know about your relationship with the prison. Multiple identities also provide a way out, right? Sun Wenqing's tone of voice is like a door-to-door salesman, which always makes you feel that there is some truth in it. Get down quickly. You are the ones who offend people the most. I have no interest in seeking death. Come back and remove your identity quickly, or I will go to the Demon Slayer department to report you for abusing your power. Lu Changsheng doesn't follow Sun Wenqing's tricks. And this is the second time we've met, right? We don't seem to know each other that well, right? Do you recruit people so casually? Lu Changsheng rolled his eyes helplessly. Because Xiao Lu believes in you. Sun Wenqing said matter-of-factly, so I believe in you too. Lu Changsheng was startled. There was silence for a long time. He sighed lightly and put the certificate in his arms without saying anything. A sly smile appeared on Sun Wenqing's lips, and he soon returned to normal. The two of them arrived at the factory gate side by side. A somewhat stout middle-aged man ran over with great effort. The man has sparse hair and looks honest. He looks about 40 years old and has a very blessed round face, with a pair of small eyes that secretly reveal a shrewd energy. Hello, Deacon Sunday. I am the person in charge of this factory, Hu Guangsheng. I have received the notice from the Supervisory Academy. If you have anything, just ask me directly. There are some things that the people below know about. Who is this? Hu Guangsheng looked at Lu Changsheng with some confusion, without any impression in his mind. He is my deputy. Co-driver. Before Sun Wenqing could finish speaking, Lu Changsheng hurriedly interrupted. For Lu Jiangming's sake, he could help a bunch of old Sun Tu within his ability, but it was absolutely impossible to ask him to work for the prison in just a few words. Lu Changsheng has always been the only one who has had sex for free, and when has he ever been paid for by others? The driver, and the deputy? The corner of Hu Guangsheng's mouth twitched, and he was a little confused, but he didn't want to ask more, so he had to laugh and asked respectfully. Deacon Sun, if you have any questions, you can ask me and I promise to tell you everything. Show me the monsters you brought from the front line. Sun Wenqing pushed Hu Guangsheng away and walked straight into the factory. A flash of panic flashed in Hu Guangsheng's eyes, but it was quickly covered up. He picked up the belt around his waist and quickly followed Sun Wenqing, but the further he walked, the emptier he felt. Sun Wenqing seemed to be very familiar with the factory, and he found the warehouse where the monsters were kept without any need for his guidance. Open. Sun Wenqing pointed at the warehouse and said. Well, Mr. Sun, the monsters here are very wild. How about we go to the warehouse in front and take a look first? Hu Guangsheng kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand and said guiltily. What responded to him was the coercion of Sun Wenqing at the peak of the 6th level. Hu Guangsheng suddenly knelt on the ground. The pain of suffocation made his face turn red all of a sudden. All the muscles in his body twitched and his body trembled uncontrollably. I know you are just a small person, and I don't intend to embarrass you. Open the warehouse, I will arrange for you to go to the front line. Whether you can survive depends on your fate. Sun Wenqing deliberately spoke very slowly. The pressure dissipated. Hu Guangsheng coughed a few times, took a breath, and panted. He didn't dare to have a fluke mentality anymore. He obediently opened the door of the warehouse and stood by the door with a face full of fear. He didn't dare to enter the warehouse, let alone run away. Roar. Ah. Sh. Bursts of wild beasts roared from the warehouse. There was brutality, pain, and more desperate struggle in the voice. Bursts of rotten stench mixed with the smell of flesh and blood came to his nose. Hu Guangsheng fell to the ground again and vomited with a wow. In the warehouse, bloodstains of various colors mixed together and flowed all over the floor. Broken limbs were everywhere, and some monsters were even gnawing on the bodies of their companions. Lu Changsheng's face turned pale and he rushed a few steps into the warehouse, anxiously searching for the figures of Sanyuzi and Erniu among the monsters, but he couldn't tell at all. The monsters in front of him, where was the shadow of human beings, Sun Wenqing's pressure came again, but this time it was much milder than before. The monsters in the warehouse were frightened by the pressure, no longer roaring, no longer struggling, all honestly retreated a few steps and curled up together. Old Sun. Can they turn back into humans? Lu Changsheng's voice was terribly cold. I will send them to the Creation Bureau and let my colleagues in the Creation Bureau think of a way, but I can't guarantee it. Sun Wenqing's tone was very calm, but his fists were slightly clenched and trembling. Oh, I can feel your pressure from a distance, Deacon Sunday. Old Sun, you have such great authority. A frivolous voice came from outside the warehouse. A young man dressed in the uniform of the Demon Slayer Division, with an exquisite hairstyle, stood upright outside the warehouse door. Behind him, a large group of guards were holding military crossbows, blocking the entire warehouse door. Footsteps were constantly heard on the second floor of the warehouse, and the guards stepped on the steel plates on the second floor, making bursts of ping-pong sounds. Hundreds of demon-sealing arrows locked onto Lu Changsheng and Sun Wenqing. The killing intent was overwhelming. Chapter 79. Is it worth it? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Song Hong, are you planning to rebel? Sun Wenqing looked at the visitor and said coldly. Song Hong snorted coldly and said disdainfully, what did Deacon Sun say? The Sun City warehouse is under the military department and cannot allow outsiders to come in casually. I was just patrolling and found 2 intruders. I completed my job and shot the foreign enemies. How can you call it a rebellion? Old Sun too, is this also part of your plan? Lu Changsheng approached Sun Wenqing and lowered his voice and asked, by the way, who is this person? Don't worry, everything is under control. Sun Wenqing raised his eyebrows mischievously, without any poise of an old man. This person is from the Li family of Sun City. Search TWKN on Google. The Lord of Sun City is named Li. Sun Wenqing thought for a moment and then added. Lu Changsheng's heart sank. Does this matter have something to do with the Sun City Lord? Song Hong, what do you want to do with this formation? Do you dare to kill me here? Sun Wenqing coughed lightly and shouted towards the door, full of energy and without a trace of fear. I didn't give the order. Song Hong grabbed Hu Guangsheng who was standing beside him, just like picking up a little chicken. It's one of my subordinates who didn't recognize Deacon Sun's appearance. He made a mistake and caused a catastrophe. Afterwards, he will commit suicide to apologize. And those beasts behind you will disappear from the world, and no one will know they ever existed. Song Hong dropped the lost Hu Guangsheng, stepped over him, and said coldly, you shouldn't have come, Sun Wenqing. I've warned you not to stretch your hands too far, why don't you just listen? How did you turn these villagers into monsters? Sun Wenqing's voice was neither humble nor arrogant, completely ignoring this naked threat. It was as if he hadn't seen those white crossbow arrows. You have time to care about these mortals when you are about to die. Song Hong snorted and said disdainfully, we gave them a chance to change their destiny. If it weren't for us, these mortals would only be able to guard that mountain for the rest of their lives. Once the demon clan comes to kill them, they will only be reduced to food. How great it is now, even the weakest demon clan can produce demon pills. If they can contribute to the front line, they deserve to die. Sun Wenqing silently mobilized the powers in his body, stared directly at Song Hong, and spoke word by word. You have gone crazy. If the Demon Slayer Division no longer protects the human race, but instead slaughters the same kind, what is the difference between that and the demon race? Women's kindness. The demon tide is coming. If the front line is defeated, won't these people die? As long as the demon clan can be eliminated and a few mortals sacrificed, what's the point of regretting it? Song Hong's tone gradually became fanatical. How could these old antiques understand that there is no victory without sacrifice? He waved his hand, the crossbows were cocked, and the massacre was imminent. These crazy people, if we really do what you do, the human race itself will be in civil strife before the demon clan comes. Lu Changsheng cursed in his heart, lowered his voice and said quickly, where is the swordsman you ambushed? Should we throw a cup or something, and someone would rush in. There is no support, just the two of us. Sun Wenqing said calmly. Damn it, didn't you think you had a plan? Didn't you expect this result? Lu Changsheng laughed angrily. Boss Lu, it's time to call your master out. What they grabbed are military crossbow arrows. And they are all specially made for walkers. My energy shield can only protect myself at most, but I can't save your life. Sun Wenqing stared directly at Lu Changsheng, ignored the crossbow arrows surrounding him, and said calmly. Lu Changsheng was startled, he reacted violently. You did all this just to force me to take action. Risking your own life. What if I ignore you and leave on my own? Lu Changsheng looked at Sun Wenqing in shock. He really didn't expect that this old man was such a gambler. Then I have no choice but to die. Sun Wenqing's aura suddenly increased, and a sixth-order peak shield formed around him, almost condensing into substance. It looks like the body is covered with a halo. Boss Lu, before you take action, let me give you one last reminder. Once you draw your sword, you will face countless enemies like this. Some of them are in high positions, and some are very ambitious. Their purposes are different, their interests are different, and what they pursue is different. Only one thing is certain. Once you mess with this group of people, the only outcome is to fight to the death. You have to leave now, it's still too late. As soon as he finished speaking, Sun Wenqing's body swayed and flew out like a cannonball, heading straight for Song Hong's face. Arrows rained down from the sky, and even the lights above were blocked. Grass. Students are like this, teachers are like this too. I don't know where you learned it. At the critical moment, Lu Changsheng gave up thinking and let his instinct control his body. Almost as soon as Sun Wenqing rushed out, he activated Xintianyu, and, Rage of Revenge, jumped up to the second floor of the warehouse, and quickly attacked and killed. This was the first time since Lu Changsheng's breakthrough that he was on full fire. The improvement in strength brought by the LV5 innate skill was much greater than he imagined, coupled with the tenfold increase in Wrath of Revenge. Lu Changsheng's every move can trigger changes in the airflow around his body, forming gusts of wind blades. He is like a walking butcher knife. Not a blade of grass grows wherever he goes. Bright red blood flowers bloomed in the crowd, and hot blood poured down from the second floor, forming bursts of blood mist. Enchanting and beautiful, hopeless and suffocating, Sun Wenqing targeted Song Hong the moment he started his attack, and with a punch that was at the peak of the 6th level, Song Hong was knocked backwards. The arrows behind him turned in the air, automatically heading towards the target with the largest energy fluctuation. Ripples suddenly exploded all over Sun Wenqing's body, and the sound of ding-dong dang-dang-dang could be heard endlessly. After a round of arrow rain, his energy shield became much darker visible to the naked eye, but Sun Wenqing didn't care. He ignored the guards behind him and stabbed Song Hong's heart with his fist again. Roar! A huge tiger head suddenly opened its mouth and bit Sun Wenqing's arm. Sun Wenqing had no time to change direction, so he simply accelerated again and used his entire upper body to resist the tiger's mouth, resisting the sharp teeth, and threw the giant tiger away with fierce force. The colorful giant tiger fluttered in a circle on the ground, stood up quickly, exerted force on its hind legs, and pounced again. Song Hong is a 6th-level change-type psychic. When his powers are fully activated, he can transform into a giant tiger that is as big as a truck, and in addition to strength, it also takes into account the amazing dynamic vision of cats. Sun Wenqing's lightning-fast fist suddenly slowed down in his eyes. One of the two is an awakener of the transformation system, and the other is an awakener of the strengthening system. They both take the path of opening and closing. For a time, one man and one tiger fought together, and the aftermath of the impact blasted holes into the concrete floor. Sun Wenqing had withstood a wave of arrows before, consuming a lot of supernatural powers. Under the high-intensity attack, flaws were still exposed. The giant tiger hit Sun Wenqing in the waist and abdomen with one claw, and flew him into the air. Fire the arrow! The colorful giant tiger spits out human words and roars loudly. Bang! Sun Wenqing hit the ground hard, kicking up a cloud of dust. He felt a sweet sensation in his throat, a mouthful of blood spurted out violently. and his internal organs surged. The imagined rain of arrows never came. Song Hong's huge tiger head looked at the warehouse in confusion. Would it take his men so long to kill an ordinary person? Or are they dealing with the monsters inside? Tick tick tick. Outside the warehouse door, bright red blood dripped out of thin air, leaving a bloody footprint on the ground. The bloody footprints walked towards Song Hong unhurriedly, which was extremely strange. An alarm bell suddenly sounded in Song Hong's heart, and a terrible thought couldn't help but arise in his mind. Trap. No wonder Sun Wencheng and the stranger dared to enter the warehouse together. The ambush has been laid for a long time. Sun Wencheng's target from the beginning was not those monsters, his target was me. Song Hong forcibly activated the superpowers in his body, raising his state to its peak. He constantly scanned the surroundings, trying to find ambushing enemies. Lu Changsheng slowly revealed his true form. His body was covered in blood, and his suit was completely soaked and turned dark red. The 10,000 god sword in his hand was as black as ink, and if any drop of blood fell on the sword, it would evaporate in an instant and turn into curls of green smoke. I said, Lao Sun Tu, if I really left, you would be dead now, did you know? Lu Changsheng wiped the blood on his face with the back of his hand, but found that the more he wiped it, the dirtier it became, so he simply ignored it. Ahem, cough. Sun Wencheng coughed twice, panting heavily, and laughed. That's why I booked a set meal with you in advance. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth and hung on his silver beard. The silence lasted for a while. Lu Changsheng took a deep look at Sun Wencheng and asked the doubts he had always had in his heart. Is it worth it? Sun Wencheng's old face covered with wrinkles struggled to squeeze out an ugly smile and said. When I was young, I always asked if it was worth it, but now. I just asked if it should be done. Chapter 80. A group of smart people. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Should I? Lu Changsheng didn't know if this was the answer he was expecting, but fortunately, his life was very long, so he could slowly look for it. He withdrew his thoughts and glanced at old Sunday. Okay, old son, don't act like you're dying. Why are you pretending to be pitiful? I can see it. You should hold back. Lu Changsheng ruthlessly exposed Sun Wencheng's disguise. Sun Wencheng's old face turned red, his legs bent, and he jumped up all of a sudden, saying a little embarrassedly, It's not that the atmosphere is right, I always feel that if I don't die, it won't be good. You old fox. Where did you learn this bad habit? This is a disease, it needs to be treated. Lu Changsheng muttered in a low voice, pointed the 10,000 god sword at Song Hong, and said lightly, Do you want this one to live or die? Google search TWKN. This one has to live, otherwise why would I deliberately let it go? You don't know, if the awakened person of the transformation department really wants to run away, I may not be able to catch up. Sun Wencheng held his shoulders and gently rotated twice, like an old man who had just finished morning exercise, relieving muscle fatigue. Song Hong just looked at the two people like a crosstalk, one sentence after another, and determined his ending. He was so angry, this is too contemptuous. He is at least a 6th level practitioner. If the Venerable does not come out, who dares to say that he can win him? What do these two people think of themselves? Are they low-level demons who can only do Makabaka? The dignity of a 6th level practitioner makes it impossible for him to escape without a fight. Even if he cannot win, he will drag someone down with him when he dies. Song Hong does not believe that Lu Changsheng will be an 8th level venerable. He has reached the peak of the 6th level for many years and can vaguely feel the difference between the venerable and ordinary people. He did not detect the inhuman breath on Lu Changsheng. There may be more ambushes in the warehouse. He must fight quickly. The colorful giant tiger exerted force on all 4 legs and leaped forward fiercely. The violent pressure condensed in the flesh, and the giant tiger attacked Lu Changsheng like a running locomotive. In front of his peak attack, any 6th level practitioner must temporarily avoid the edge. In Song Hong's vision, the target was getting closer and closer. Is the speed so slow? Song Hong was overjoyed. This claw hit him firmly. If Lu Changsheng didn't die, he would be crippled. The next second, Song Hong felt a blackness in front of his eyes. A huge force came down from the sky, smashing his huge tiger head to the ground. His huge body continued to rush forward, just like a pole vault, flipped over, and hit the ground again with his back. 2 holes, one large and one small, were instantly smashed into the ground, and dust flew. All of Song Hong's rationality was destroyed by this blow. At this moment, he felt dizzy and dizzy. The piercing and sharp chirping in his ears made him feel so painful that he couldn't think at all. The only thing left in his mind was the fear of biological instinct. As the tiger shrank rapidly, Song Hong's body kept making the sound of bones colliding. In the blink of an eye, he turned back into a human. His clothes were tattered, blood was flowing out of all his orifices, and the air that was going out was almost more than the air that was coming in. With just one blow, the peak 6th level practitioner lost his combat effectiveness, was dying, and was on the verge of death. Even Lu Changsheng himself did not expect this result. How could a 6th level practitioner be so fragile? It broke at the first touch. Nothing. He shouldn't be dead. Lu Changsheng touched the back of his head apologetically. He thought he had met a tough opponent, but accidentally, he seemed to have used too much force. Sun Wenqing swallowed quietly, his old eyes were as big as copper bells, and almost jumped out of his deep eye sockets. He had never underestimated Lu Changsheng, but who would have thought? It seems that he still underestimated. Venerable, can he really still be considered a human? Well, he is fine. A 6th level walker can hold on for a long time as long as he has a breath left. Sun Wenqing's tone suddenly stuttered. Well then. Lu Changsheng dispersed the 10,000 god sword and clapped his hands. I'll leave the rest to you, is that okay? Well, leave it to me. Sun Wenqing thought for a moment and added, I'll inform you of any progress from the Creation Bureau. Lu Changsheng turned his head and looked at the warehouse. After a long silence, he said faintly, if the Creation Bureau can't change them back, then what will happen to them? Sun Wenqing knew that this question could not be avoided, and said frankly, from the standpoint of the Demon Slayer Division, these villagers are ordinary people. Living, we will definitely do our best to transform them back. If it is technically impossible, we will try our best to maintain their humanity and reduce their hostility towards humans. If they are willing, we will train them to be spies for humans and lurk in the demon tribe. If they are unwilling, we will also set aside an area for them to live, but they will never have any intersection with humans again. If they lose all human reason and become pure demons. Sun Wenqing paused, looked at Lu Changsheng quietly, and said word by word, I will execute them myself. Lu Changsheng's fingers trembled slightly, and he subconsciously made a sword-holding gesture, but soon relaxed. Will this matter end here? Lu Changsheng said coldly. Sun Wenqing put his right hand on his chest, made a military salute, and said solemnly, absolutely not. I will find out all the people involved in this matter, and make them pay the price one by one. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Turning around, he looked at old Sunday. If you continue to investigate and attract the revenge of the Venerable, will you continue? It's my duty, so I should do so. Sun Wenqing's tone was calm. Lu Changsheng looked at old Sun deeply, sighed, and spoke quietly. Old Sun, if you have something to do in the future, you can tell me directly. Don't set up a trap to lure me into it. I don't like it. Sun Wenqing smiled awkwardly and nodded. This time, the work was indeed a bit rough. Lu Changsheng shook off the blood on his palm and looked at his newly bought suit with a little heartache. Also, remember to reimburse me for the clothes. This is a high-end product, a global limited edition, and you can't buy it even if you have money. Sun Wenqing was stunned. You dare to say that your shabby suit is a global limited edition? If you want to fool people, you should remove the label first, okay? Do you really think that I, an old man, have never seen the world? Sun Wenqing's mouth twitched, and he muttered a little dissatisfied, if it's so precious, why don't you wear the work clothes in the store today? Lu Changsheng sniffed the smell on the clothes, frowned and said, nonsense, today's incident was all done by Gui Shi, how can I wear the work clothes of Changsheng? Sun Wenqing's eyes flashed with a gleam of light, and he immediately understood the implication of Lu Changsheng. Boss Lu, please rest assured. From today on, Ghost Snake, will be a guest of honor at the Jianzhenjuan. I will also report the help, Ghost Snake, provides to the Jianzhenjuan truthfully, and strive for the reward your master deserves. It is indeed easier to communicate with smart people. Lu Changsheng nodded with satisfaction, and smiled at Sun Wencheng. An old fox and a young fox both felt that they were very smart.